In a sense, rope rescue is simply an access and transportation issue of trying to move a patient over difficult terrain that is otherwise considered inaccessible. Working at heights to convey loads has inherent risks, and progressive rescue teams work diligently at trying to manage these risks to acceptable levels. Incorporating the use of an independent backup rope system, often referred to as a belay system, is one means of providing additional security to the mainline system. Should anything unexpectedly affect the integrity of the mainline system and cause an uncontrolled fall of the load, the belay system is intended to catch the fall. The 540 Rescue Belay is specifically engineered for the demands of being able to catch a falling rescue-sized load. Separate models are available for teams using either 11.1 or 12.7 millimeter rescue ropes. Additionally, rescuers can choose between the bidirectional or unidirectional rope loading models. With the bidirectional model, the rope can be loaded from either side, and either end of the rope exiting this model can be used as the load line, thereby minimizing the chance of an improperly loaded device. The unidirectional model, called the rapide, allows the belayer to take in belay rope more quickly since it only locks the rope on one side, and therefore requires more specific rope loading requirements. With either model, the fall arrest performance characteristics are the same. Significant demands can be placed on rescue belay systems. It is desirable to stop a falling rescue-sized load quickly to reduce the chance of the attendant and/or patient from striking a ledge, beam, or other obstacle. At the same time, it is desirable to limit the peak potential forces to within acceptable levels. The 540 Rescue Belay accomplishes both of these. Not only does the 540 Rescue Belay limit both the stopping distance and peak force, it is simple and easy to load the rope into the device, and taking in or letting out rope is straightforward, thereby requiring less training. It is self-locking with sudden falls, and if the rope does lock up, a built-in release lever eliminates the need for a release hitch or a shock absorber. It is also gentle on the rope during a fall arrest and is compact and lightweight. The fall arrest performance of the 540 Rescue Belay is exceptional, and it is designed to meet the demanding criteria of the Belay Competence Drop Test method, established by the British Columbia Council of Technical Rescue in the early 80s. The Belay Competence Drop Test method is intended to represent the relative worst-case scenario of a mainline system failure during an edge transition, leaving the belay system to catch the falling rescue-size load. In transitions such as these, a 1-meter drop is not inconceivable. The Belay Competence Drop Test method specifies that a rescue belay be able to catch a 1-meter drop of rescue-sized load onto 3 meters of rope and stop the falling load within 1 meter of additional travel, as well as limit the peak force to no more than 15 kilonewtons. These criteria were originally developed for a 200 kilogram rescue-sized load and 11.1 millimeter rescue ropes. However, since many fire service teams in North America follow the American National Fire Protection Association standards, the same drop test criteria have also been applied to the 540 Rescue Belay using 12.7 millimeter rescue ropes and a larger 280 kilogram test mass. For clarity, the stopping distance requirement of no more than 1 meter of additional travel includes rope slippage through the belay device, any extension of the belay device itself, rope stretch, and knots all tightening up, all pre-rebound. Stopping the falling load within a meter helps reduce the risk of the load inadvertently striking a ledge, beam, or obstacle. Regarding the peak force limit of no more than 15 kilonewtons, keep in mind that the peak force applied to the anchor system and the belay rope is distributed among the components that comprise the load, and therefore the patient and attendant would only be subject to a portion of that peak force. As a highly simplified example, if the patient and attendant were the same mass, then each would experience less than half the total peak force, and the basket stretcher or other equipment would be subject to the remainder. A rescue load peak force limit of 15 kilonewtons or less generally translates to a gentler catch per person than the limits established by other standards and regulation setting bodies. The 540 rescue belay provides an excellent balance between being able to quickly stop a falling rescue-size load and keeping peak forces to within acceptable levels. In addition to its fall-arresting performance, the 540 rescue belay is simple and easy to use. Loading the rope is easy. First select a quality, preferably supple, rope of the appropriate diameter, then remove the front plate by pressing the push pin. Inspect all components, including the pulley, to ensure that everything is in working order. Next, wrap the rope 1.5 times or 540 degrees around the pulley. As previously mentioned, with the standard 540 rescue belay, either end of the rope exiting the device may be used to attach the load since it is bidirectional. And again, with the 540 repeat, it is not bidirectional, and therefore the rope going to the load must be consistent with the directions marked on the device. To reattach the front plate, with one hand hold the device level and maintain a snug grip on the rope ends exiting the device so that they do not slip off the pulley. Then, slide the front plate back over the push pin assembly, align the stationary wedges with their respective holes, and then press the push pin to allow the front plate to slide over the locking mechanism. After loading the rope into the device, it is important to carefully inspect to see if all the locking balls and the push pin are fully engaged and extended in the locked position, and that both ropes correctly exit the bottom of the device. Connect the 540 rescue belay to a suitable anchor system with a locking carabiner and ensure that no foreign objects can interfere or impair either the fall arrest function or the release lever. In certain conditions, it is preferable to have the release lever face the operator to ensure it is free of potential obstacles and is readily accessible. Always wear personal protective equipment and keep hands a sufficient distance away from the device when belaying. For belaying a load while it is being lowered, with a gloved hand, apply moderate resistance to the belay rope going to the load to ensure that there is no slack between the load and the belayer. Then, as required, shuffle the running end of the rope straight into the 540 rescue belay. If the belay rope is not fit into the device, then it may inadvertently trigger and lock the rope. For added locking security, trail the running end of the rope through a separate carabiner at one of the anchor points. This ensures that if the operator lets go of the rope for any reason, self-locking will occur once the slack is pulled through. While belaying, if the device inadvertently triggers and begins to lock the rope, then quickly reversing the direction of feed can return the pulley to its centered or neutral position. However, if the belay rope is locked, then release the rope tension using the 540's release lever. This can be done even after a significant shock force. The built-in release lever eliminates the need for a separate release hitch. As with all belay release devices, when using the release lever, ensure the main line is locked off. Additionally, the 540 rescue belay is not to be used as a general descent control device. The release lever should be used solely for releasing the tension of a locked belay rope. If the load is being raised, then use the belay technique often referred to as waltz of the hands, whereby one hand always maintains a grip on the running end of the rope. A helpful tip is to feed rope into the device first, before pulling rope out of it, so as to avoid inadvertently triggering and locking the rope. If there is a large amount of belay rope in service, it is always helpful to have an edge person pull up on the rope to keep it taut between the load and the belayer. If you are using the repeat version of the 540 rescue belay, then depending on the amount of edge friction the belay rope has, it is possible to simply hand over hand the rope through the belay device. If there is a pause in the rescue operation, then it is desirable to trigger the device and lock off the rope. Do this by firmly holding the infeed or running end and then give a sharp tug on the standing part. Also, if the belay system must be left unattended for any reason, then for additional security, the 540 rescue belay should be tied off with an overhand on a bight around the standing part. When doing this, leave some slack between the tie-off and the device so that in case a shock force is applied to the locked-off device, some rope can slip through the 540 rescue belay to limit peak force. If the belay system receives a shock force, then the 540 rescue belay causes no debilitating rope damage. Separating it from conventional mechanical rope grabs, the 540 rescue belay is gentle to the rope because the rotating pulley gently applies pressure in 2 locations on the rope instead of 1. Also, the contact area of 1.5 wraps around the pulley is much greater than conventional rope grabs. Whether you operate in the industrial, fire, or natural environment such as mountain rescue, the strengths of the 540 Rescue Belay device lie in its simple design, ease of use, fewer training requirements, and outstanding fall arrest performance. For 540 Rescue Belay dealer information, product servicing, or information on quality rope rescue training, contact Traverse Rescue at www.traverserescue.com or call 1-888-599-3355.